One.
What's up, guys? It's Swallow here, and we're going to be doing something a little bit different today. I have my brother on the mic as well. His
Hey,
name's Will, so we'll be going by that throughout the video.
hey,
What's good with
everybody.
you, Will?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks for having me here. Uh, really
Yeah.
excited.
So to so today we're going to be doing a weapons tier list for every single weapon in Season 9, and we'll also be adding in some of the attachments as well. All
Yeah.
right, Will.
Yeah. So the way it works, like whenever a attachment, not like hot, like sights or anything like that, but attachments that affect the gun's firing ability is gonna be a different category or different gun essentially. But first we have the 30-30 repeater, basic 30-30 repeater, heavy rounds. What's your thoughts?
30-30 repeater. Gonna be honest, not one of my favorite guns, but occasionally you'll have those games where you're just hitting shots with it, and it's actually pretty strong. It's definitely not my first choice, but the I'm gonna put it in the C tier. That's where I'd put that.
I think,
It's
yeah,
it's a good weapon, but it's not something I personally would use.
I think it's fair. I think like a little bit of tweaking, it becomes a really fun meta gun. But right now, yeah, the C tier is definitely where it's at. Now, what about with shatter caps?
All right, so with shatter caps, I think that actually is useful. Unlike the bow, I actually would use shatter caps on it if I was in a close building. So
Okay.
I'll move it up to B tier with a shatter caps. Just give it a little boost.
Wow, gives it a full tier up with the shatter caps.
Well, yeah, I mean the gun's just it's a top of C tier. It's a top of C tier weapon by itself. So you give it the shatter caps. I gotta move it up to the next tier and bump it up.
Okay, and now what do you think about this alternator here?
The alternator is slept on. For some reason, the alternator has a higher win percentage rate than the R99, which is probably one of my favorite guns. So the alternator, obviously, can't put it in the S tier. Its DPS is just too low for that. But I think the alternator with full attachments is a good end game weapon, and I'm gonna put it in the B tier, but it's definitely up there in the B tier.
Hey, I can tell you why it's has a better win percentage than the R99, and that's because nobody can aim with the R99 because it's just a Papago with its bullet curves. Except for you guys in
Yeah,
pred lobbies, but the majority of us are not being able to hit every shot with the R99 in a mobile battle. I'll say that. And
gotcha.
so now we have the newest gun, if you want to call it that in the game, the bow check. And looks like the
And
first one is with tempo.
as you guys know, the Bocek is my baby. They nerfed it a little bit. It does not matter. If you can hit your shots with that gun, it is S tier every day of the week. Put it in the S tier. It's phenomenal. It's not the best up close, but I have won many fights by just hitting a 60 shot up close and just it's just my probably one of my favorite guns this season, or
Okay.
weapons, not guns.
So with tempo and the normal one up there, do you want shatter caps there too, or do you think that one falls down a bit?
I mean, Shadow Caps is absolutely nothing for the weapon, but I'm gonna put it without any attachments in the S tier, just because I I just absolutely love the gun.
And,
I can't not put it in the S tier.
and tempo only makes it
Actually,
better, so that goes S tier as
actually,
well, right?
just Shadow Caps is so bad on it. Just put it in the A tier with Shadow Caps, even though it doesn't change the gun.
Yeah, when we look at these attachments, you got to think about using it in that attachment mode. So shooting that with shatter caps.
Yeah.
You
I
don't
mean,
think
if I
about
was
the normal
shooting,
fire.
oh yeah, okay. Well, if I'm shooting it with just Shatter Caps, I'm putting that D tier. Just
Okay.
Shatter Caps only, I'm putting that in D tier,
Yeah.
100%.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes a little bit more sense because yeah, we're just that's kind of levels the attachment. But next gun, got our first sniper on the list, the charge rifle.
Charge rifle, I absolutely hate playing against it.
It,
Absolutely love using it. It's just unfair. It's the only hit scan gun in the game, and if you're playing ranked, it is an S tier weapon. It's not something I would pick up in pubs because it's kind of annoying and boring, and it's kind of like a unspoken rule just not to use it in pubs. But it is a fantastic gun. You can just hit people for 90s from 200 meters away consistently. Like it's just Very strong.
The only thing I'll say is that it has a hard counter for one legend in particular, and that's Bangalore, because their speed boost activates like as soon as that little primary thing starts, so they can dodge it a little bit easier than the other legends. But I will say that you don't really see it much until you get into plat and up lobbies, and even then, like it takes a little bit of getting used to getting the timing right. But once you do, it's great.
Yeah, and one more thing with that, when you hit someone with the charge rifle, it actually does have a slowing effect. So even though Bangalore gets that boost, if you hit first shots, it's still going to slow them down, and it makes it so much easier just to finish the beam and get the high damage on it.
Oh, good to know.
Let's
Good to
move
know.
on to the next gun, though,
Yeah, the
and we're going to
devotion.
start with the Devotion. Devotion without turbocharge.
Hmm.
We're probably going to put that. It is actually legend specific. Like if you have it with Rampart, I'd put it in the B tier. But if you're not using Rampart, I'm going to put it in the C tier.
Yeah, no legend
Yeah.
specific stuff right now. Just going off of like generic
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
use. But what about with the turbocharger
Now,
on it?
now let's talk about it with the turbocharger. All right, with the turbocharger, this thing is absolutely insane. The problem is, I can't throw every gun in the S tier, but this is a gun I would pick up every single game with the turbocharger. So I'm gonna put it in the A tier. I think
Okay.
that's where it belongs.
All right, and now we're on our first shotgun of the list, the Eva.
The Eva, the Eva. Oh man, I mean, last split, this gun was my baby. R301 Eva 8 every single game. But it is just a shotgun, so there are limitations to it. I'm gonna have to put it. I'll put it in the B tier. It's a strong weapon. I'll pick it up, but on World's Edge, I don't really use it that much.
Yeah, and I think as soon as you get like 9 damage a bunch of times with it, it becomes like less and less preferred. But I'll say like when it hits, it hits. It's great. One of my favorite shotguns for sure. And then next we're on the flat line. Let's actually start with the normal flat line.
Standard flatline. It's a fantastic weapon. It does a ton of damage in a short amount of time, and if you're on PC, it can be extremely accurate from long distances. If you're on PC, it's probably an A tier weapon, but on console, it just doesn't have that range. It's a lot harder to control the recoil on a thumbstick. So I'm going to put it in the B tier.
A lot of B tier guns. Okay. And so when you're shooting it with anvil receiver in or single fire mode, where does it go from there? Is it still B tier?
So the anvil allows it the range that you can't get with the recoil control issues on the controller, but I'll still put it in the B tier, even with the anvils.
Okay. And now like another little bit longer range gun, the G7 Scout. What do you think of this one?
E7 Scout, it's extremely strong if you have the recoil pattern memorized and you know how to use it. It's going to deal a ton of damage. The problem is they nerfed the hip fire, and if they didn't nerf the hip fire, it would be an A tier weapon. But every single time I pick up the Scout, I just go back and try to hip fire it, and it has gotten me killed so many times. I want to throw it in the C tier really bad. I really want to do it. I'm doing it. Throwing the C tier, man. I've died way too many times to the hip fire spread. It's way too much.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they would have double tap on it still. I mean, it was kind of overpowered a little bit, but I had so much fun being able to like get 2 shots off when I didn't have the recoil mastered as much.
Yeah, it used to be viable for up close fights when it had double tap.
Hmm.
That would hit like a shotgun.
Yeah, well, when
All
the
right,
hip fire was good too. Yeah, the Havoc is next though.
let's get into the Havoc. Now, for some reason, I started using this weapon probably about 2 weeks ago in some ranked lobbies, and I liked it a lot. Like it is very, very strong. And I use it as my close range weapon because the hip fire on it is just insane. And so I'm just because the damage output it does and the hip fire, the fact that it slows down targets when you hit them, it's gonna go in the B tier without the turbocharger.
Okay, now with the turbocharger, I honestly I'm just gonna skip the Havoc till we talk about the turbocharger. So let's just move on to the next one.
Yep, so the turbocharged Havoc, it's I think I'm gonna put it in the S tier. It has the range, it's recoil you can control well, it has a high damage output. The only thing with me, I can't control the Devotion's recoil that well. That's why I can't put it in the S tier with the turbocharger, but the Havoc I can. And so for me, that's got to be an S tier weapon.
Yeah, I think once you put the turbocharger on it, it's like it feels like the way it should be. You know, it feels like a R301 that hits a little bit harder. Really good recoil control. I think S tier is a good spot for that. And then now on to our next gun. This used to be my favorite gun when we first started it, but it's gotten a little bit of change over time. What do you think of the Hemlock now?
Yeah, the Hemlock actually, it was one of my favorite guns from day one. I've always liked the Hemlock, but the damage reduction that they did definitely moved it down probably about a tier and a half. I would have put it in A tier, and now I think I'm going to actually put it in C tier. It's not a gun that I would typically use very often, so I'm going to have to go with C tier.
Yeah, I agree. I just feel like it's just not very rewarding when you hit your shots, and then putting it into select fire mode doesn't help out very much at all, except for saving ammo. Uh, Next, we have the Crab, though, the Kraber, one of the
I mean,
most
like,
rewarding guns
do we
ever.
even do we even have to talk about this weapon? Like, if you can hit your shots, it is the best weapon in the game in any scenario, long range, close range, doesn't matter. You know where it's going. It's in the S tier. It's my favorite gun to get out of a care package. I absolutely love it, and I have died multiple times in ranked lobbies just trying to get a Kraber for some content because I absolutely love the Kraber.
Well, I think even if you're like your whole team's dead, you find a Kraber, that can change the game. You can knock a player with one shot, which is not that something that can't be said on any of the rest of these guns. This headshot here is just great. So yeah, the Kraber, I mean, unquestioned S tier. And then something that's a little bit more questionable. Let's move on to the L Star.
The L Star for me, I've always thought it's been a pretty decent gun, but lately it's been getting a lot of talk, and I'm just gonna ignore the hype it's been getting. I think it is probably a B tier weapon. It's only a B tier weapon because the flash makes it so difficult to see your target on 60 frames per second. If you're on PC, I've actually not played with it on PC, but I feel like it would be a much better weapon, and I would probably put it in a higher rig for PC.
Yeah, on my personal chart, I would probably have it down. It's like C tier. I just think it's not on that same level with the Havoc and the Flatline. But I do think that it has its merits, and a lot of people do like using it,
The
but not
most
me.
important the most important thing with the L Star is you don't have to reload. If you once you've mastered the timing of how long the gun takes to heat up and cool down, you don't have to reload with the L Star at all, and that's why I had to put it in the B tier.
I got you. I gotcha.
Yeah,
What do you think of the Longbow, our second sniper on the list?
longbow is it's definitely a unique weapon in that a lot of players can pick it up, not hit a single shot, and it would be just an F tier gun for them. If you can consistently hit shots with it, it would probably be A tier. I I'm gonna have to put it in the C tier though. There's so many other snipers I would pick up over it.
There's so many other guns in general. Like I would rather have like the Hemlock over it. Even I feel like I would at least get more damage with a one burst of the Hemlock than I would trying to get a couple because I don't use it that much. I haven't mastered it as you said. But let's move on to the Mastiff, the gun that was a god gun early in Apex, and now it's sitting a little bit lower than it used to.
The Mastiff used to be absolutely god tier. You can just two tap somebody, and you could do it from range too. It used to have a nice smaller spread, and you could actually do damage from range. But now I find that I just consistently hit 11s with it if I'm outside of 10 meters, 5-10 meters. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go B tier with this. I'm putting a lot of weapons in the B tier, but it has a lot of good uses, and if you can use it well, then it's still a strong gun. It's just I'm not putting it in the A tier because it's just not a gun that I like to use.
That's super generous. I would have put it in the D tier.
You put it
Uh,
in the D tier? Oh, there's no way,
I think well, when you got the
no
Eva here,
way.
you got the Alternator. I'm just looking at the guns comparing it to, and I don't think it's on that level. I don't think it's end game worthy for me at least. Um,
If we can move it down to the C tier, I'll allow it because I
I
have
think
not I
that's
have not
more
popped off
fair.
with a Mastiff in a while.
I don't think
I'm all right with that.
I don't think anybody's popped off with a Mastiff in a while. Just clip it down below if you've seen somebody pop off with a Mastiff. But some other great gun, we got the
Oh,
Mozambique.
oh yes, the best gun in the game. Wow. I mean, this one's going to take a lot of thought, like a lot of thought on where I'm going to put this gun. I'd probably look for an open category. Oh, F tier. Oh yeah. That's where we need to put that gun right there. Just want to fill up the chart. F tier. It's where the Mozambique belongs. It's just not good. It's gotten a lot better, I will say, this season. It's almost tempting to put it in the D tier, but it is literally the meme gun of Apex Legends, so it has to stay in that F tier for any ranking system.
I would love to
That's
see
all I've got for it.
a dual wield ability on the Mozambique and make it viable. I think that would be super fun, almost like the models from old Call of Duty. I think that would make it viable and bring it out of F tier, but right now definitely F tier. And then
Yeah. So now we're moving to the RE, good old RE 45.
P2020.
Oh, it's P2020. Yeah, I am blind. Thank you,
Small
brother.
boy.
Yeah, P2020. So yeah, we just covered the Mozambique, so it's pretty much the same thing with the P2020. I'm putting put that the F tier. If you pick this gun up, you're gonna want to pick up any other gun as soon as you can
Yeah,
and use that instead.
I would say yes. I think I did see one end game where somebody had like gold mag and like fully kitted, and it's pretty viable, especially with the damage boost if you can hit your shots. But you still would rather have another gun. You would rather have almost any other gun. You'd rather have shatter caps on a bow. So I totally agree.
See, once they removed hammer points was so useful for the P2020, especially with the Revenant meta.
Hmm.
It was so good. It was an A tier gun. P2020 hammer points. I would have put that in the A tier last season, but it is by itself just an F tier gun for me. I'll pick
Okay,
any other gun up for it.
and now one of my favorite guns. Just feel it doesn't play as well now, but the Peacekeeper. What are you thinking about this one?
The Peacekeeper, it has definitely been nerfed a little bit since it was last in the floor loot, but it just the nostalgic feel and the way it shoots, the way it hits. I've got to put it in the A tier. In my opinion, it's the best shotgun. I'd pick it up over an EVA 8, but and it comes with a precision choke already built into it, so it can be viable from range as well, which you don't have. You don't have that option with the EVA 8 or Mastiff. So definitely an A tier gun.
Yeah, I agree. I think it just feels really nice. It feels like the rhythm of shooting, like in between shots, like just feels like a really good timing for shotgun. Like shoot, a little bit of time to aim, shoot again. Like it just feels really nice, not too spammy. Um, yeah, I think A is great. Now on to another gun that I think we already know where it's gonna go. What are you thinking of this one?
If you're on PC, this gun might be in the A tier for you. But if you got that good aim assist like me on PS4, S tier all the way. Prowler is
Mhm.
just an S tier weapon. It is absolutely phenomenal.
I really
Um,
miss it being like floor loot. That was
I do
one of my
too. That
favorite
was my
guns.
baby. That was my baby. Season 5, the Prowler. I pick it up every single game.
Mhm.
Yep,
Yeah, and then
100%.
getting that attachment turned into full auto, you just felt like, oh, I've got the whole lobby at my disposal now.
hmm
And now let's move on to another popular gun, the R301, no attachments.
The R301 with no attachments is a fantastic gun, but you know what? I can't put it in the A tier just because they nerfed the headshot multiplier for it. This literally, sorry, I can't put it in the S tier. This literally is my favorite gun. I love this gun. It's my favorite gun in the game that's not in the care package. And I'm gonna put it in the A tier. It's phenomenal. But with that headshot multiplier reduction, it's no longer an S tier weapon.
Yeah, no, it's my favorite gun. I'm running, you can see me running the 301 and the Volt almost every game. It feels super balanced right now, even though like I just really enjoy it. I hope they don't change it at all. I like the way it is right now. And then with the attachment, the anvil receiver, what are your thoughts on that select fire mode?
The Anvil receiver, I'll give it the S tier. I'll give the S tier the R301 truly deserves. That is just the the gun of Apex is the R301. It's just so strong. Yeah, it's not extremely overpowered. It just feels right.
Yeah,
So I'm
I
gonna put
like
that in the
saving
S tier.
ammo with the anvil receiver. I feel like I'm able to hit shots with it pretty well, at like a reasonable range as well. It's not like I'm hitting them across the map or anything, but within a decent range. And I'm saving ammo because that light ammo goes by fast, especially if you have an R99 on the other side. So yeah, definitely S tier is great.
Yeah, the good old R400 loadout. That is phenomenal. 301.99.
Mm-hmm.
Would always recommend that, but you do go through quite a bit of light ammo with that. So let's move on to the next gun, which is going to be the R99.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I use this gun every single day. I absolutely love it, but I can't put it in the A tier because if you miss your first shot, if you're not on the hitbox when you start firing, you've already missed half your clip before you're hitting them. So I'm putting in the A tier.
A tier? You just said you couldn't put it in the
Yeah,
A tier.
dude, I meant S tier. Man, I am slipping today. We are
All good.
struggling here.
We can't put it in the A tier, but we're
The,
gonna do it anyways. All right,
the
next
sun's the
gun.
sun's getting to my head.
I don't think there
Yeah,
needs
stream.
to be any more
I'm
said about
actually
the R99.
I'm actually recording this from a different location than my typical setup. So I'm on vacation right now, and I can't stream because the connection's not good enough to actually load into a game. So hopefully, if there's any issues with the audio coming through, you know why. But let's get back into it with the RE. Am I correct? Not the P20.
Yes, the RE45, the re.
The RE.
Yeah, that
The
one.
RE. Off drop can be a good gun for the first 60 seconds of the game, but I'm gonna look to pick up almost any other light gun after it, so I'm putting it in the D tier.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely in the D tier.
On drop, you get that, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not a Mozambique. Thank the Lord, it's not a P2020. But and I think like the hip fire of it makes it kind of nice above those two. But yeah, it's not anywhere near the other light ammo guns or any of the guns above it so far. And what do you think about it with its attachment though?
Oh my gosh, it has an attachment. That's crazy. Put it in the D tier. It does absolutely nothing for it. Just put it in the D tier. Move on from that weapon. Don't want to see it again.
Okay, and next is going to be the Sentinel. We'll start with the normal Sentinel, plain old Sentinel. What do you think of that one?
For me, I would rank this higher than most people. I'd probably put this in the B tier, but I think it deserves to be in the C tier without the tempo, just because not everybody can hit their shots with it. If you hit your shots with it, definitely B tier, probably even higher. But it's a difficult gun to use because of the time it takes in between shots. So we can just leave it in the B tier for here because I like it so much.
Okay, and so with tempo, we already get a glimpse of what you think, but where is it going?
With tempo, I feel like it's just a wingman. I would use it like it's a wingman if I'm playing a public match. I'm actually gonna put it in the A tier. Uh, this is a great gun if you're running ranked. You want to have a close range gun and a long range gun, and this is a great weapon to get kills from a distance and get your KP. If you can hit your shots with a Sentinel, use it. It's phenomenal. You can charge it up. It's basically a mini Kraber, and it sounds fantastic. So put it in the A tier.
Yeah, I'm personally still trying to get used to the tempo of the Sentinel. It feels like I don't know, it just doesn't feel, at least for me, it's hard to kind of adjust, especially on moving targets, the getting the timing right to get that bonus. But I think the Sentinel overall is a great gun. My favorite gun, not my favorite gun, my favorite sniper. That's not the Kraber, of course. Um, but yeah, and next we're gonna move on to a lot of people's favorite gun, the Spitfire.
Oh my god, I don't want to talk about this gun. The Spitfire. This has been a pain in my backside for over a season. I do not like this gun, and they gave it a little buff. And you know what that buff did? Absolutely nothing. I'm just put it in the A tier. If I liked using this gun and I felt like it was a fair gun to use, I would. It deserves to be in the S tier, but I can't put it in there because I hate it so much. We're throwing in the A tier. My
Okay.
tier list.
And now maybe the only gun that comes in a care package that might not be an S tier. What do you think of the triple take?
The triple take. Wow. I mean, before Before it was a care package weapon, I would have put it in the A tier. Now that it's a care package weapon, I mean that just I've got to put it in the A tier where it belongs.
Accurate,
It
100%.
did absolutely nothing putting it in the care package.
I would rather have a fully kitted Sentinel. I'm gonna be on the record saying that than the triple
Yeah,
take.
I would pick up the triple take just because, sometimes you're lazy and you just don't want to hit your shots. And the triple take's great for that. You don't have to hit your shots. You can just get a little 23 damage and make sure you get the KP on somebody that your team's shooting at, a couple 100 meters away. Whereas the Sentinel, you would have to hit your shot on that. So for that reason, it's probably better than the Sentinel, but because it's definitely easier to use, but it's definitely an A tier gun.
Okay, yeah, I think so. I think if it stops being a care package gun, I think it might even move to a B tier if they somehow like nerf it when it stops being in the care packages. But yeah, hopefully that's soon. I'd love to see a new gun in there. But next, my favorite SMG, the Volt. Be nice, please.
Be nice to the Volt? What do you mean, brother? Do you know where this gun's going?
I have no
This is
idea.
this gun has the same almost the same damage per second as the R99, and it takes the same amount of time as the alternator to unload the clip. This is an S tier weapon. All right,
Mm-hmm.
Volt if is an S tier weapon. I switch between the Volt and the Havoc frequently. A turbocharged Havoc, I'm gonna run over the Volt just because it is so good up close. But the Volt by itself, no attachments, is just phenomenal.
It's just so steady. Like you don't even need a barrel stabilizer or stock
There's
on it.
barely any recoil.
And I honestly,
Fantastic weapon.
I prefer the iron sights to like a one-time sight on this thing, unless I have a digi and smoke. That's the only time I put a sight on it. Otherwise, I really like the iron sights.
Yep, the iron sights are fantastic. 100%. Now, the OG, the original, my original favorite gun, the Wingman. I hate to do it. I hate to do it to the Wingman, but on 60 frames per second, I have to put it in the B tier. If
Mm-hmm.
I was if I'm playing on a PC with a controller, I'm putting in the S tier because that weapon just feels so good. You can hit your shots, you can see far enough to where it's viable as a long range weapon, and it's just a fantastic gun. But with 60 frames per second, I'm gonna have to limit it and put it down in the B tier.
All right, and now with its attachment.
Oh, it has an attachment. That's right. Wow, this attachment is so useful. I really care if I have it, and it just absolutely skyrockets the usability of the gun. I'd probably put it in the B tier.
Yeah, no, I mean Wingman's great. I remember it was so good at one point. People would run double Wingman just to have more Wingman shots. It
Oh
was
yeah,
it was that good. And now there's just so much visual recoil on PC. I feel like it handles a little bit better with a little bit keyboard and mouse action. Definitely helps with the extra frames. But I'm just not a huge fan of the iron sights either. So yeah, B tier feels right for it. And so
yep.
that's
Well,
the tier list.
yep. Everybody, that completes the tier list. So thank you guys for watching. Now, if this video hits 200 likes before my next live stream, I will be doing a face reveal live on stream a few weeks after that stream. And if you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like or subscribe for more content. And I'll see you on the next one.
All right, thanks. Peace out.